Hi everyone, and welcome back to Art with Mrs. S. Today we're going to be looking at buildings and how we see shapes inside of buildings and how that can actually make it easier to draw or create our art, whether that's with collage, with cut paper, or if we're painting, or just to break down something that looks really complex and complicated and make it easier for us to draw. So I chose to draw the White House, and we'll look at some examples here. And if you look at your Davis Digital textbook, you'll see a couple examples of shapes in buildings. Those are on page 96 and 97 of your book. And right away, I'm going to see lots of rectangles and triangles and circles and squares and semicircles. So as long as you can draw those shapes, you can draw almost anything in architecture. So let's go ahead and get started today. I'm going to be using white paper and a black marker so you can see very clearly, but you might want to get started with pencil, so if you need to erase, you could also use a dry erase board if you're at home. If you're in school, we're going to use some paper. Let's go ahead and draw kind of towards the center of my paper, leaving space to the top, bottom, left, and right. I'm just going to draw a triangle. Doesn't have to be perfectly even. Inside of that triangle, let's go ahead and draw a second triangle. On the bottom of our triangle, I'm going to draw kind of a skinny rectangle. They are connected. Down from that rectangle, I'm going to do some vertical skinny rectangles. I'm going to do 4 of them. Try to evenly space them. Try to keep it straight, but if it doesn't get even or it gets a little lumpy bumpy, it's alright. If you are a ruler person, you could use a straight edge or ruler to help you keep these even and straight as possible. All about the same height. This is where we're going to start seeing more of the building itself. We're going to do more straight lines, and we're going to do a big rectangle here. So I'm going to actually try to connect all these. If they're not perfectly even, that's okay. All the way across. And then I'm actually going to connect this building a little bit ahead of where that point on my triangle goes. So I'm going to draw straight across again. I'm going to do that on the left hand and right hand side to form a rectangle. Again, if it's a little uneven or if it's not quite straight, that's all right. I'm going to put a little roof on here with another rectangle. Again, lots of vertical, lots of horizontal lines in architecture and buildings, especially the White House. Now I can start getting those details. I have that basic shape of this house, and now I can add things like windows that you'll also see some of those geometric shapes in, doors, and even it looks like some vents maybe coming out of the top of this building. And I'm even going to have a flag. So I'm going to just do the flag real quick and kind of have that coming straight out of the top of this building. Doesn't have to be super detailed. Maybe it's kind of blowing in the wind. There's my flags. Now I know we're at the White House. We're going to add more squares here. So we had 1 square, 2 square. I'm going to do that on the rooftop over here too. 1 square, 2 square. And on top of those, you're going to have this skinny, long rectangle. And I'm just going to keep going with those details. I can even use simple lines. I'm just going to add, looks like there's 9 of those on each side. If you have more or less, that's fine. And this is where yours is going to start looking different than mine or the example. Change it, kind of make it your own. Now we are using some inspiration, so it might have to look somewhat like the White House. I'm going to do a rectangle for the door. Looks like there's maybe a window on there with another rectangle. A semicircular window above that door, half circle. And then you'll see lots of these long rectangular windows. So I have that rectangle and then go in and add kind of that waffle pattern. Some people start with that waffle pattern and they get very frustrated when they are able to draw it in there, or draw the rectangle around there. Kind of lining these windows up. They don't have to be perfect, especially if I'm not using a ruler. It has like a second row of windows, so this row of windows, that kind of chocolate bar waffle pattern is going to go across the top. And I'm going to do that with the bottom ones. I think I'm going to do 6 in each side, 2 between each column, 1, and then it goes 2, and then another 6. So I'm going to just draw those rectangles first. 1, 2. You can already see that some are not the same size. Purposefully kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Then on this left side, doing the same thing, trying to keep them in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hopefully your rectangles look a little better than mine. And then underneath this window, I have another window. I kind of made my columns a little big, so if you can't fit one in there, it doesn't have to be showing. I'm going to go in and add that kind of waffle pattern, that vertical line down, and then 1, 2, 3 across. If you have less windows or more than me, that's fine. Vertical down, 1, 2, 3 across. Vertical down, 1, 2, 3 across. Vertical down, 1, 2, 3. Vertical down, 1, 2, 3. And that creates like 8 window panes that are kind of square or maybe more rectangular. I'm almost done with the details on my building. Again, you've seen lots of vertical and horizontal lines. You've seen a lot of rectangles, triangles, and squares specifically, even a couple semicircles. On this bottom row of windows, I'm going to do a triangle on the top. That could be many different things. Might be another window. It could be like a shutter or awning. It's there. When you finish this out, I don't want this floating White House castle kind of thing. I want to have this White House on the ground, so I'm going to draw in that grass or that horizon line or somewhere for it to be sitting on. If you look at the real pictures of the White House, there's some trees back here, so I might add in some trees. Might have a nice blue sky. There's also kind of this fountain in the front or foreground. If you don't want to add that, that's not a big deal. There's also some like bushes out front. You could draw some silly things if you want to do like a driveway or a car, or if you want to have the president out there, you can kind of be a little creative with those details. Maybe there's the sun or some clouds in the sky. And then this fountain, maybe it's just this semicircle, and there's some water. When I add color to it, it's going to help it out a little bit here. There's also usually some flowers around that fountain. Be creative with those details. I'm really focused on the shapes in the building that we want to see. If it doesn't look quite like the White House, that's all right too. The point is that we're practicing making a building using those simple shapes. Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to post your art to Padlet with your first and last name as the title and classroom teacher. Have a great day.